Be careful about who you might pick up that's hitchhiking. Of course, hitchhikers beware of whose car you step into.
Curtis Jones is a traveling salesman who accidentally runs over a man one lonely night. The man is okay, just asking to be taken to a hospital and leaving behind his bright red truck, although not without first requesting a bag be taken out of that truck. It seems that this man who was run over was already on the way to the hospital, for you see, he hasn't slept in 9 days. The next morning, his wife has reported him missing, and the cop, Detective Granger, swears to do everything he can to find him, although he admits the very likely possibility that his type, traveling salesman, always on the road, he may have been having some affairs on the side, although of course she denies it. However, Curtis has a different problem, since he awakens the next day with a headache, the hitchhiker gone, but his bag remaining. After learning that the hitchhiker was found dead, he tries to call the police about it, but when they mention what day it is, he suddenly puts on some sunglasses and hangs up. Stopping for some gas, he takes them off again as the station attendant invites him to go have a party, as it were. He accepts, though wants to get a little bit of sleep so he's refreshed in the morning. He is awoken by another police officer, whom he fights off when he fails to recognize that fact. But Hardis is in even more trouble, since the reason the cop woke him up was because the gas station attendant is dead, and a familiar red truck is driving away. He sees it again after calling into a police station to admit he assaulted the cop, but the incompetent deputy makes him hang up, not helped by finding another dead body and the truck driving away once more. Meanwhile, Detective Granger is brought in to the FBI to investigate Hardis. His traveling does correspond to a number of unsolved murders, and they need Granger to investigate what could have made such a dedicated family man snap, assuming he is the killer. What are his favorite shows? Does his wife nag him? Is he a compulsive masturbator? You know, the important things! Speaking of, his next victim is a stripper named Bambi, who is happy to let his hands go wandering south when he flashes a $100 bill her way. However, he doesn't kill her right away. They go on a bit of a shopping spree over the next few days, where we learn he has some sores in his mouth, an inherited condition, and that he does not have dreams. Granger finishes up his investigations of Hardis, and his conclusion is about how there was no impetus for this sudden aggression. Oh, not that there was a lack of reason, but that nothingness is the reason. He is a boring man in a boring job, saying boring things all day long, and spends lots of his time alone. He is empty inside, devoid of anything human anymore. He fears making no impact on this universe. He snapped. However, well, the FBI doesn't buy it. They think Granger is protecting his own issues with his divorce and life problems onto Hardis. Although they are not too far off, especially as one of the conversations he had with Bambi, before he killed her of course, was about how small someone on Earth must look to God. And so with his latest victim, Hardis decides to go home, and encounters the red truck once more, seeing the hitchhiker at the wheel again. He drives him off the road, or rather, he drives some woman and her child off the road as he races home. But, funny story, the FBI identified the first victim, Hardis Jones. Yeah, funny story, my children. It seems that the person Hardis picked up was a man suffering from a delusional condition that left him with those mouth sores. He was on his way to the hospital for medication to treat it, and never arrived. He murdered Jones, took his identity, and now arrives back home to a family that does not know who the hell he is. Fortunately, Detective Granger is there to stop him. But as a radio report soon states, it seems Detective Granger never made it out of that house, nor did Hardis Jones's family. So who is this detective who is stopping a bunch of kids driving along the road, Why, it's Detective Granger, of course.
Friendly tip to my children out there who will eventually be behind the wheel. Be careful as you're driving, for whom you stop for, and who stops you.